The year is 2024, and I'm about to tell you the most insane story that's been sweeping through NFL locker rooms like wildfire. Picture this: 3 of the league's biggest superstars, all claiming they witnessed something that sounds straight out of a science fiction movie. And the craziest part? Their stories line up in ways that'll make your head spin. What if I told you that Shadur Sanders, the Colorado quarterback everyone's been watching, recently had an encounter that left him questioning everything he thought he knew about our universe? And what if I also told you that Tyreek Hill and Lamar Jackson might have witnessed the exact same phenomenon, just days apart, in completely different locations? Before you click away thinking this is just another clickbait story, stick with me because the details I'm about to share will have you wondering if we're truly alone in this vast cosmos. The evidence is piling up, the coincidences are too strange to ignore, and the implications could change how we view not just football, but reality itself. Now, I know what you're thinking. Athletes see weird stuff all the time, right? Late night training sessions, exhaustion, maybe too much protein powder. But here's where this story gets absolutely bonkers. These aren't just random sightings by random people. We're talking about 3 elite athletes, all at the top of their game, all with crystal clear vision that's been tested and retested by team doctors, all reporting remarkably similar experiences within a 2-week period. Let's start with Shadur Sanders, because his story is the one that started this whole investigation. It was a Tuesday night in Boulder, Colorado. Shadur had just finished a late film session at the team facility. He's walking to his car around 11:30 when suddenly the entire parking lot gets bathed in this otherworldly blue light. Not like stadium lights, not like street lamps, but something completely different. Something that made the hair on his arms stand up and gave him this overwhelming sense that he was being watched. He looks up and sees what he describes as a metallic disc, about the size of a football field, hovering silently about 200 feet above the practice facility. No sound whatsoever. No spinning rotors like a helicopter. No jet engines. Just this massive object defying every law of physics he learned in high school, hanging there like it owns the sky. Shadur, being the composed leader he is, immediately pulls out his phone to record. But here's where it gets weird. His phone won't work. The screen is completely black. Even though he had full battery and signal just minutes before, he tries pressing every button. Nothing. It's like the device has been completely drained of power. The object hovers for what feels like an eternity, but was probably only 30 seconds. Then, without warning, it shoots off toward the Rocky Mountains at a speed that would make an F-16 jealous. 1 second it's there, the next second it's gone, leaving nothing but a faint blue afterglow in the clouds. Shadur stands there for a full 5 minutes, trying to process what just happened. His phone miraculously starts working again, showing the time as 11:47. He immediately calls his father, Coach Prime, but Dion is skeptical, tells his son he's been studying too hard, needs more sleep, maybe lay off the energy drinks. But Shadur knows what he saw. And more importantly, he knows he's not crazy. So he starts doing what any Gen Z athlete would do. He hits up his group chats, his social media DMs, reaching out to other players around the league. Most think he's pranking them. Some suggest he switched to decaf. But then something interesting happens. Tyreek Hill slides into his DMs with a message that makes Shadur's blood run cold. The message simply reads, "Blue light, Tuesday night, Miami, we need to talk." Now, pause for a second and think about this. Tyreek Hill is in Miami, Florida. That's over 1,000 miles from Boulder, Colorado. Different time zone, different climate, different everything. Yet somehow, on the exact same night, at roughly the same time when you account for the time difference, Tyreek had his own encounter. Tyreek's story is equally mind-bending. He was leaving a late-night training session at the Dolphins facility when he noticed something strange happening to the ocean. The water, which should have been dark under the night sky, was glowing with the same blue light Shadur described. At first, Tyreek thought it might be bioluminescence, those glowing organisms that sometimes light up the water in South Florida. But then the light started moving, rising up from the ocean like a massive submarine surfacing, except it wasn't a submarine. It was the same metallic disc shape, the same silent hovering, the same impossible physics. Tyreek, known for his incredible speed on the field, found himself frozen in place, unable to move, unable to look away. The object hovered over the ocean for about a minute, and Tyreek swears he could see other lights moving around inside it, like there were beings in there operating some kind of control system. Then, just like Shadur's experience, it shot off into the night sky, disappearing over the Atlantic Ocean faster than anything built by human hands. His phone also malfunctioned during the sighting. Dead battery, black screen, completely unresponsive until several minutes after the object vanished. When it finally came back to life, he had 7 missed calls from his wife, who was worried because he usually texted her when he left the facility. 2 elite NFL players, over 1,000 miles apart, witnessing essentially the same phenomenon on the same night with the same technical malfunctions. The odds of this being a coincidence are astronomical, but it gets even crazier when Lamar Jackson enters the picture. Lamar's sighting happened 4 days later, on a Saturday evening in Baltimore. He was driving home from a team meeting when traffic on Interstate 95 came to a complete standstill. At first, he figured it was just another accident or construction, but then he noticed something odd. Every single car had their hazard lights flashing, and drivers were getting out of their vehicles, pointing at the sky. Lamar gets out of his car and looks up to see the same metallic disc, this time accompanied by 2 smaller objects that appeared to be escorting it. The formation moved slowly and deliberately across the Baltimore skyline, passing directly over M&T Bank Stadium, where the Ravens play their home games. But here's what makes Lamar's sighting different and arguably more significant. He wasn't alone. There were hundreds of witnesses. Drivers, passengers, people walking on nearby sidewalks, all watching the same impossible scene unfold above one of America's major cities. Unlike Shadur and Tyreek, Lamar's phone worked perfectly during the encounter. He managed to record about 40 seconds of footage showing the 3 objects moving in perfect formation against the clear night sky. The video clearly shows structured craft with geometric patterns and lights that pulse in a rhythm that seems almost like communication. Within hours, that video was everywhere. Social media exploded, news outlets picked it up. But then something strange happened. The video started disappearing. First from Lamar's Instagram, then from Twitter reposts, then from news websites. By Sunday morning, it was almost impossible to find any trace of the footage online. Lamar claims he never deleted the original video from his phone, but when he went to check his camera roll, it was gone. Not just moved to a different folder, not corrupted, completely erased as if it never existed. His phone showed no record of any video being taken that evening, despite dozens of people confirming they saw him filming. Now this is where the story takes a turn that'll make you question everything you think you know about how information spreads in the digital age. Within a week of these sightings, all 3 players received phone calls from people claiming to represent various government agencies. Not threatening calls, but polite requests for meetings to discuss their recent experiences. Shadur was approached by someone claiming to be from the Federal Aviation Administration, wanting to discuss unidentified aircraft in Colorado airspace. Tyreek got a call from someone identifying themselves as Coast Guard Intelligence, interested in his observations of unusual maritime activity. Lamar was contacted by what appeared to be Department of Defense personnel requesting a debriefing about the Baltimore incident. All 3 players, independently and without consulting each other, declined these meetings. They had their agents and lawyers handle the communications, which promptly stopped after legal representation got involved. But the message was clear. Someone, somewhere, knew about their sightings and wanted to control the narrative. The really interesting part is how these 3 athletes found each other. Remember, this all started with Shadur reaching out through social media. After Tyreek responded, they started a private group chat where they could share their experiences without public scrutiny. When Lamar's Baltimore sighting went viral before disappearing, they reached out to him too. The 3 of them spent hours comparing notes, looking for patterns, trying to make sense of what they'd witnessed. The similarities were undeniable. Same basic craft design, same blue luminescence, same electronic interference, same impossible flight characteristics. But there were differences too. variations that suggested these weren't just hallucinations or misidentified conventional aircraft. Shadur's sightings seemed more observational, like the object was studying the facility or gathering information. Tyreek's encounter felt more interactive, with the craft responding to his presence by hovering longer when he moved closer to the water's edge. Lamar's experience was the most public and dramatic, almost like a deliberate display meant to be seen by as many people as possible. They started researching, reaching out to other athletes, other public figures, other people who might have had similar experiences. What they found was shocking. Dozens of professional athletes across different sports had similar stories. Basketball players, baseball stars, soccer players, even Olympic athletes. Most were afraid to speak publicly for fear of damaging their careers and reputations. But privately, in secure group chats and encrypted messaging apps, a picture began to emerge. These sightings weren't random. They were following patterns, targeting high-profile individuals in high-stress, high-performance environments. Almost like whatever intelligence was behind these craft was specifically interested in studying peak human, physical, and mental performance. Think about it from an outside perspective. If you were an advanced civilization studying humanity, wouldn't elite athletes represent some of the finest examples of human potential? These are people who have pushed their bodies and minds to the absolute limits, who perform under incredible pressure, who have achieved things that seem impossible to average humans. The timing is suspicious too. All of these sightings happened during crucial periods in these athletes' careers. Shadur in the middle of a breakout college season that has NFL scouts drooling. Tyreek during a period where he's redefining what it means to be a deep threat receiver. Lamar, while he's revolutionizing the quarterback position with his unique combination of arm talent and mobility. It's as if these beings, whatever they are drawn to moments of human excellence, periods when we're transcending our normal limitations and achieving something extraordinary. The question is, why? Are they studying us, learning from us, or is there something else entirely going on? The three players have continued to stay in touch, sharing not just their original sightings, but ongoing unusual experiences. Shadur reports strange dreams filled with geometric patterns and mathematical formulas he doesn't understand, but somehow feels compelled to write down when he wakes up. Tyreek mentions feeling like he's being watched during games, particularly during crucial plays when he's about to break away for a long touchdown. Lamar's experiences are the most intense. He claims that since his sighting, his field vision has improved dramatically. He's seeing defensive formations and reading coverages with an almost supernatural clarity. His completion percentage has jumped, his decision-making has become nearly flawless, and defensive coordinators around the league are baffled by his sudden evolution. Could there be a connection between these encounters and enhanced performance? It sounds crazy, but the numbers don't lie. All three players have shown marked improvement since their sightings. Shadur's throwing accuracy is up 15% from last season. Tyreek is averaging more yards per catch than any point in his career. Lamar is on pace for career highs in multiple statistical categories. Skeptics would argue that correlation doesn't equal causation. These are elite athletes who are constantly improving through training, film study, and experience. But the timing is remarkable, and the improvements are so dramatic that even their coaches and teammates are taking notice. The story gets even more intriguing when you consider the broader context of UFO disclosure that's been happening over the past few years. Military officials acknowledging unidentified aerial phenomena, government reports confirming encounters with objects displaying impossible flight characteristics, commercial and military pilots coming forward with their own sightings. What makes the athlete testimonies particularly compelling is their credibility. These are people whose entire careers depend on accurate observation, split-second decision-making, and performing under pressure. Their eyes and reflexes are tested regularly by team medical staff. They're accustomed to tracking fast-moving objects in three-dimensional space while processing multiple streams of information simultaneously. If anyone is qualified to accurately observe and report unusual aerial phenomena, it's professional athletes. Yet their stories are largely being ignored by mainstream media, dismissed as publicity stunts or misidentifications. The same outlets that breathlessly cover every touchdown celebration and contract negotiation seem strangely uninterested in these extraordinary claims. But the athletes aren't backing down. They're using their platforms, their social media reach, their connections within the sports world to spread awareness. Not in a sensationalized way, but through careful documentation and shared experiences. They're building a network of witnesses, a community of people who've encountered the impossible and refuse to be silenced. The implications extend far beyond sports. If these sightings are genuine, if they represent contact with non-human intelligence, then we're witnessing one of the most significant events in human history. And it's happening not in remote desert locations or military installations, but in our cities, near our stadiums, in places where millions of people gather to watch these athletes perform. Perhaps that's the point. Maybe whoever is behind these craft wants to be seen, wants to be documented, wants to begin a gradual process of disclosure that won't cause mass panic or social upheaval. By targeting high-profile, credible witnesses who have massive platforms and loyal followings, they're ensuring their presence becomes known in a controlled, manageable way. The three quarterbacks continue to share their experiences, continue to search for answers, and continue to perform at the highest levels of their sport. Whether their encounters have enhanced their abilities or simply opened their minds to possibilities they never considered, one thing is clear: they're not the same players they were before their sightings. As we move forward into an era where the impossible seems increasingly possible, where the boundaries between science fiction and reality continue to blur, these athletes remind us to keep our eyes on the sky and our minds open to experiences that challenge everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. The truth, as they say, is out there. And sometimes it chooses to reveal itself in the most unexpected places, to the most unexpected witnesses, at the most unexpected times.